I'm Tom Wales, Deputy Director of Analysis at Oxford Analytica, and we are embarking once again on our weekly survey of the global political economy for hotspots and potential events to watch in the week ahead. I'm joined by Michael Taylor, Dr. Michael Taylor, the Senior Analyst for Eastern Europe at OA. Now, we've got actually there are quite a number of major events occurring in the around the globe. We've got a formal Chinese leadership transition. We've got a new pope, but we're not going to talk about either of these things. We're going to talk about mighty Hungary.
Yes.
For I think a number of reasons that we'll get into in a minute, something that investors and our clients maybe aren't focused on at the moment. But the country is in the midst of another dust-up with the EU. Can you explain what's going on here?
Yes. The country is run by the Prime Minister, Viktor Orban, who has a party which won a massive landslide election in 2010. And it now has what's called a constitutional majority, i.e. has so many members of parliament that it can just vote through anything it likes and it can change the constitution, which it has. And this is what's upset the EU. The latest constitutional changes are geared really to making sure that basically Orban can do whatever he likes. Any kind of opposing institution, any kind of check or balance that was in the previous constitutional arrangements have pretty well been eliminated. The last thing to go has been the Constitutional Court itself, which can only rule on matters of procedure, not on matters of substance, which pretty well means it's a toothless institution. So, another obstacle has been overcome. The Parliament voted early this week on the President. The President can't change anything either unless there's a procedural irregularity. And one or two things, a sort of rag bag of different things that have been overturned by other court decisions, some of them at the EU's request. Things like sort of same-sex marriages. They're very socially conservative in Hungary at the moment. And one or two other little things that they've managed to steamroller through with their constitutional majority. So that's now fixed in law. And the trouble is, even if they got voted out next time, they got elections in a year's time, to unwind all that they've done will take a corresponding constitutional majority by the new incoming government, which looks unlikely, and given the sort of way that elections usually pan out. I mean, they got this opportunity in 2010, marvellous opportunity, and they're using it. And what they're doing also is they're gradually been taking over all of those various institutions, like sort of audit office, the central bank, and they're putting their own people in, often with quite long terms of office. So there'll be a hangover, even if they do get voted out, or if there's a hung parliament or whatever, they'll still have their key people in key positions within the Hungarian institutions, and the EU doesn't like this.
Well, let's talk about the central bank and some of the economic implications of, I don't know what to call it, incipient authoritarianism or something like that in Hungary. We know it's in an economically fragile condition already. It's got a very high level of debt, so it's another one of these highly exposed economies. Yes. We know consumers, there are a lot of mortgage holders in Hungary that have taken out foreign currency mortgages, which are themselves problematic. And then you have Orban packing the central bank. What are the economic implications of this kind of approach by the government?
Well, it means you don't have central bank independence, which is one of the sort of things investors really, really like. Because now the central bank has been taken over. The governor is now a former economy minister, and worse than that, an economy minister who had his own rather peculiar attitude to economic policy. So he has no real background in monetary matters. And we imagine he's been put in there to basically make sure that all the resources at the central bank's disposal, like the reserves it controls, they can all be put to use for government policy. And we're also expecting him to engineer a devaluation of the currency. It's a freely floating currency, but obviously there are things that the bank can do to bring down the rate of exchange. And this will be difficult. I mean, on the one hand, yes, Hungary has about a public debt of about 75% of GDP, which is high. It's still managing to borrow on bond markets, though at quite high rates. I mean, there's obviously a risk premium to be paid, but they're still borrowing. So they're not in a kind of a bailout situation yet. And that would be dreadful from Orban's point of view, because Orban wants control. He doesn't want the IMF coming along and telling him how to run the Hungarian economy. The whole point of it is control. Also, it's wonderful for him politically to go to the Hungarian people and say, I am defending Hungary's best interests against all the interference from foreigners. That's a wonderful electoral position to be in, and he's milking it for all he's worth. But we are expecting the central bank to basically has now fallen. Another redoubt has fallen, and Orban has control of that. And we're all expecting to bring down the exchange rate. This could be difficult. In fact, he may have to recognise that there are difficulties involved, because a lot of people in Hungary were persuaded, unwisely, I don't know, about a decade or so ago, to take out loans and mortgages in foreign exchange, euros, Swiss francs in particular. And that means that any loss of value of the Hungarian forint against these major European currencies hits these people, because, of course, if you're a Hungarian, you're earning your money in forint and you're paying back your loan in euros or Swiss francs. It's bad news. So Orban's going to have to find a way around that one. If he wants to depress the currency or to make exports more competitive, which he probably does want to do, he's got to find some way out of this foreign currency debt problem he's got with individuals, companies, also some municipal authorities as well. And he'll probably do it by forcing the banks to take some sort of loss on these foreign currency loans.
So there you have it. Just as investor interest has focused on the south of Europe, in particular some of the highly indebted economies there, and some relief has been generated in the aftermath of ECB intervention and some elections that turned out in ways that were surprising to markets, maybe not surprising to us. I guess the lesson is that there's still danger lurking to the east with some of these highly indebted Eastern European economies as well. Thank you very much for joining us. We will see you next week.